Hopefully you've got a window near you or a door jamb that you can look through, and you're going to have some you're going to have an edge. You're going to be able to see the inside frame of that side, the top frame, the lower frame, and from where our vantage point is, we're not going to be able to see this frame. Now remember, we are dealing with verticals and horizontals in this case. This is one of the trickier places that people seem to get a little messed up. So perhaps one of the easiest starting points is from this corner. We're going to frame out this window, put a sill on it all the way around. Let's say I'm basing my vertical off of a vertical that's already there. And this is going to be a horizontal. That will be a horizontal. Okay. And this is going to be invisible to us, but we might as well plot out the frame here. And the frame here. So now before we get too carried away, we want to keep in mind with a lot of our drawing problems, we want to have the overall context in mind when we are plotting something out. So for example, instead of just starting with the eye and moving out towards the head, you want to get a sense of the head before you plot in the features of the face. So in this case, we want a more general understanding before we get specific. So if we have this wall, this thickness of this wall, we're going to say that is our general view, and we want this window inside of that larger wall. That will be a more specific statement. So let's say that from here, we want to be able to plot out the thickness of this wall over here and on this ground as well, because that is going to determine the thickness that we can make our window from here. We're moving towards the vanishing point again. Likewise from here, that point. Accessing our vanishing point. Right. Oops. Following from this horizontal. This is going to be invisible. We're going to say this is an opaque wall, but this gives us the degree to which our wall is getting thinner as it moves further away. Likewise here. But what we have immediately described is so we are starting to see some of the discrepancies that happen when we make arbitrary decisions, but I think for our visual details, I think this is probably okay. We can probably resolve this. Okay, so we have essentially described the thickness of this wall, now moving back into space this way. If we want to be a little more accurate about the thickness of these windowsills, and we want it to be the equivalent of cutting it out cutting it out of that concrete slab, for example, maybe we want to drop this line down. Okay, so the thickness of this windowsill is going to be determined on the thickness that we've come up with for this wall. Verticals, horizontals, anything diagonal is going to head towards the vanishing point. So we're going to go from this thickness. It's going to determine this thickness and this thickness. Okay. So remember now we have our opaque wall. So if you've ever looked at a room being built, in a way these could be like the 2x4 studs that are holding the frame in place a little bit. You know, if you extend this out, this becomes a 2x4. Actually, I guess it would be this way, wouldn't it? Or likewise this way. Okay, but we're going to have it so that it is an opaque wall. Now we're not finished yet, because this is our line of sight, and we're looking, that is our eye level, and we're looking down on the lower frame of the windowsill. We should be able to see the top side of that windowsill. So going from this point, we can connect these two, and it hopefully connects to our vanishing point, which it seems to do fairly well. And then likewise, because this is our eye level and we're looking up, we should be able to see the upper windowsill, similar to this plane. So we have crossed over this horizon line, so all of those planes again are doing this. Okay. So now hopefully, to clarify, we're going to get rid of some of this stuff, just so that even though we've drawn it, we can get rid of it for clarity's sake, just to sort of get a sense of what we're looking at. All right, let's outline this for clarity's sake, just so that all right. So let's also just say, just to clarify what we're looking at, that if we shade in this wall, make it all the same value, hopefully it'll clarify that we are on the inside of this. Room now. Right? Maybe even better yet, verticals. All right. So I suspect there's going to be a whole lot of questions about this, but I think for the time being, let's try to start out the same way. I want you to figure out the perspective grid for the ground plane and for the upper plane, and I want you to maybe draw in your road. You could even put a line down the center of your road. You do it as a railroad track, and you could put in your railway ties if you wanted. And then I want you to do a large rectangular form that cuts across from the lower plane to this upper plane, cutting across the horizon line. And then I want you to do another rectangular form similarly on the other side, but I want you to open it up. Now I'll leave that up to you. You guys, I want you to play around with this and try to get a sense of how you might move within that space. I want you to think about opaque planes and transparent planes. I want you to think about how you might punch holes in. You could put a door in. How about we could call this whole front plane opaque. I don't know, maybe it's like a toy house or something, right? So now we've got this solid front plane and we're looking into the lower floor that's all opened up, and we can see the upper floor that's opened up. Maybe this helps clarify it. Keep your shading if you do any of this very simple. Let's get rid of that. Right. So again, play around with it. Punch some windows. Keep everything rectangular, and see how you might tackle problems of maybe putting a door in. Remember, this is your line of sight, so you don't want to bump your head when you go in the door. It's already pretty funny in terms of these proportions, but so be it. Maybe you want to put a door in this box. Maybe you want to put a window in here or a window in here. You could look all the way through and punch another window in here, so you're seeing through to the horizon line. I'll let you figure that out. You could put things, you could put a cube on the floor in this space. You could put a cube hanging from the ceiling as though it's some kind of modernist lamp. Whatever you want to do. I want you to play with that and just kind of struggle through that and see if you get to try to get a sense of interiors and exterior objects, rectangular forms receding off into space. And remember to cut across these quadrants: upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. Okay? All right, I'll talk to you soon.